Welcome to Encounter, where we celebrate putting faith into action and community leaders who live out compassion, grace, and love. We're a program of the Broome County Council of Churches that addresses food insecurity through CHOW and the Greater Good Grocery, provides hospital and jail ministry, builds wheelchair ramps, and assists neighbors with transportation and shopping services through Faith in Action volunteers. We invite you to the conversation. Encounter your neighbors as we learn to walk together in love and kindness.
Hello, my name is Sue Spencer and I am the Faith in Action Director at the Broome County Council of Churches. And we work with seniors and we know very well about some of the difficulties senior citizens have, especially with fixed incomes. So today I have with me Lisa Schuhle, who is the president of the AGEON Fund of Broome County, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about their program and how they help seniors. So Lisa, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks.
So what inspired you to create the AGEON Fund?
Well, I worked for the Office for Aging for over 30 years, and during that time we saw a lot of different seniors struggling in the community and a lot of them falling in the cracks. You know, we talk about kids falling into the cracks. We don't talk about older adults or senior citizens necessarily falling into the cracks. But there was a lot of people call in the Office for Aging, who is our partner in this endeavor of what we do. And a lot of people were struggling with just some basic things to remain in the community. And so the AGEON Fund of Broome County is a fund of last resort, and we help fill those gaps so that people can stay in the community. So that's really kind of how it got started. And you know, the caseworkers were always frustrated when people would call in with different things like, I don't have money for this, or I don't have money for that. Some basic needs weren't being addressed, and some simple things that nobody was funding. And we said, you know what, it would be really great if we could start a charity specifically for older adults. There's a lot of charities for animals, kids, all kinds of other charities are out there, but there's not really a charity specifically that helps older adults. So that's really how it got started.
So basically, like, what do you do? What do you offer to seniors?
Okay. So like I mentioned, we are a fund of last resort. So all our referrals go through the Office for Aging. And so the caseworkers will work with somebody if they have an issue and they can't pay for something, then they'll put a referral into AGEON. We don't give anybody cash, and like I mentioned, we're a fund of last resort, so the caseworkers will look to see if there's other nonprofits or other grant programs that would fund the request. And if there aren't, then they put the referral over to AGEON. So we fund things that nobody else funds, and we have a maximum of a one-time fund for individuals of $1,000, or it could be as little as $25, the request. So, did you want a few examples?
Sure, I'd love to hear some examples. What kinds of things do you fund?
Okay. We fund a lot of security deposits for apartments. We're a very small organization, so we can act very quickly. We are governed by a board of directors, and we are a 501(c)(3) charity, but we don't have any staff. So we don't have any overhead, so all money that comes in is basically given right back out. We don't give any cash to people, but we do pay for things. So one example is we had a gentleman that suddenly found himself in a wheelchair, and he had a second floor apartment. And when he got out of the hospital, he really couldn't get to his apartment. And the Office for Aging staff worked to get him a first floor apartment in senior housing, but he needed the money right away for the security deposit, and nobody else could help him within 2 days. So they put the referral to AGEON, and we were able to literally drive a check to the housing so that he could get that apartment and be able to still live in the community. So that's one example. We've also bought beds for people. There was a 70-year-old that moved here from out of state, and she basically came with her suitcase. She had an apartment, but she didn't have any excess income to buy a bed, and she was sleeping on an air mattress, which is sad. So we actually bought her the bed, the frame, and paid to get it set up for her. And we bought some veterans some beds. We bought appliances. I mean, when you think about it, by the time you reach 80 and 90, your disposable income really, you don't have anything left after you pay your rent or your mortgage or your taxes and your water bills and all that. And people find that they're surviving just fine in their own homes until an unexpected expense comes up.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I mean, refrigerators break,
Yeah. And there's no funding for refrigerators, and they're expensive now.
Yeah,
So we've bought refrigerators. One gentleman was using his porch for a refrigerator. And then March came and it started getting warmer. So we bought him a refrigerator, had it delivered.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit how it works. So you said that you have to call Office for Aging.
Yes.
And they get assessed as far as whether that you can help them. Are there any other requirements?
You have to be 60 years or older, and you have to be a Broome County resident. They do collect income information. It's not income-based, though, because if you make, I'm just going to throw this out, some people make $700 a month, and they literally don't even have $25 left for anything after they've paid their bills. And some people might make $3,000, but because they have a second mortgage and they're trying to maintain their house, and all their money coming in is then going out. So it's not really based on, you can't have thousands of dollars in the bank and be funded by us.
Sure.
But it's not income-based either.
Right. So it's just a matter of each situation is looked at separately.
Yes. And we fund some unusual things. We funded a gentleman, he's dyslexic. He couldn't read anything that came, like his prescription things and everything. So his CD player broke. So we went to the store, we bought him a $25 CD player, and he gets like manuals and things on CDs. So it can be as basic as that. Recently we paid $50 for a gentleman to get his birth certificate from out of state because he couldn't get a non-driver's ID, and if you don't have an ID, then it's hard to get services and everything like that. So it can be as basic as that, and he didn't, like I said, if you're only surviving on a small amount of money, you don't have a lot of extra money to go buy some of the basic things that a lot of us take for granted.
Sure. I don't think most people realize, how tight money is for a lot of our seniors.
Yes, I mean, as we age, our Social Security, our pensions, a lot of times they've lived off savings and now that's gone. I mean, people are living older, and Broome County now, their population is 29% of the population is 60 plus. That's a lot of older people. And they also, a lot of those older people contribute greatly economically to the area, but a lot of people, either they don't have any relatives in town, any kids or grandkids, and their income diminishes. It doesn't keep up with inflation, and with the cost of everything rising continuously, the older somebody gets, the more their income shrinks. And like I mentioned, some basic needs are very hard to fulfill when you don't have any extra money each month.
And I think I've read that a lot of people are living longer now.
Yes.
So they're outliving their pensions, and it's very, very tough.
It's true.
Plus they develop health issues.
Yes.
So a lot of their money may be going to that, and simple things like a refrigerator, simple to us anyway.
Yes.
Like a refrigerator or a CD player.
Yes. Most of us can just go out and replenish those things. I mean, we did have another woman who was financially exploited, and she was saving money for her oil bill, and somebody got a hold of her, and she, lost the $1,000 she had in the bank to pay her oil bill. So then and HEAP wasn't open yet, which is a program that we could have referred her to, but she had no way to cook because she cooked with oil through a stove, and it just, a lot of times we don't even think about some of these basic things. We have a lot of people in this community that don't have anybody. They've got friends and neighbors, but they don't have relatives that they can fall back on and ask to help. And, I always said, we really, these are the people in our community that have built this community. And now I feel as though we should support them as a community in any way that we can.
Oh, for sure. I totally agree with that too. And, a lot of them, they, like you said, they have nothing. They have no one to go to and no resource to find it. So I think that's wonderful. So now, what kind of challenges have you faced starting this whole program?
Well, I never realized how involved it is to start a charity until we actually got through it. Of course, we are competing with other charities for the same money, the same donations and things like that. We're not very well known. I always say that senior citizens are the silent sufferers. They don't reach out until there's a crisis. They're proud people. Most of them, they've worked their whole lives. They haven't had problems with money, but as they age, like we mentioned, the income shrinks, and now they struggle, and which is very sad. So we struggle with getting our name out, AGEON, and our purpose. When you talk to people about it, everybody thinks it's a great idea, but we don't have a lot of excess funds to have a commercial or promote it or anything, but we're trying to do our best, and we are competing with kids and animals and all the other charities out there.
So in order to raise funds, I know that you've had some fundraisers, or you have a fundraiser.
Yes, we have one big fundraiser a year, and it's a Kentucky Derby on the Kentucky Derby Day, and it's been very successful. We've had a lot of community support. You could look for it in the spring. Every year they start advertising and promoting it, and that's brought in a substantial amount of money. That's where we get like 90% of our money. We also take online donations from people. We've had people donate money to AGEON through the website if in honor of somebody's done an accomplishment or something. Somebody had gotten an award once, and we got a $200 donation in honor of that person.
That's
and we
great.
Also take donations in memory of people.
Sure. So just to reiterate, my name is Sue Spencer, and I'm the Director of Faith in Action, and I'm talking to Lisa Schuhle, the President of the AGEON Fund in Broome County. And as far talking about money, always need money. So do you apply for grants and things?
We have applied for some small grants, but we are a volunteer-based group, and most of our board members are retired professionals themselves that have their hands in a bunch of stuff, and we do have some younger professionals that are also on the board. So we do apply for grants. We have gotten a few. We've gotten some money from other places that have donated money towards us also locally. So it's all a matter of just finding the time and the opportunities. But we haven't been around that long, and most people are receptive to helping out older people once you talk about AGEON.
I think a lot of people don't even think about that until it's brought up, and it's hard to get that out there to people to understand that it's tough. It's really tough for a lot of these seniors.
And I've talked a lot about AGEON to different service groups and stuff, and some people will say, well, don't they have any relatives or friends? Because most of us do have aging individuals in our lives, and we support them, take them grocery shopping, whatever. And if they were in a financial jam, we would help them out. But there's a lot of people that don't have anybody. There's a lot of people, if they've never had children, If for some reason they are disconnected from their family, the families have moved away and they've lost touch with them. So it really does surprise me always that there is a lot of people in our community that just support, that count on support from other places.
Sure. So you've told us some success stories, but do you have any favorite one that you like the most, that touched your heart the most?
There's a lot of them. There was a gentleman that was living in his car part-time, and the Office for Aging was trying to get him some permanent housing, but in the meantime, he needed tires on his car, he needed a new radiator, and all this other stuff. So AGEON was approached and asked to pay for the repairs of his car so that he could continue to get around town. So we did do that, and sometimes it can just be some basic things. I mean, a 60-year-old man whose car broke down and he needed to get to work. He lived in a rural area, and we know that transportation is a problem for everybody in rural areas. And so if we didn't offer to help him repair that vehicle, he would have lost his job, he would eventually lost his house, he wouldn't have been able to eat. It just is a big ripple effect, which is very unfortunate. And so really, just by paying a few $100s to help him out to get his car repaired, he's able to stay in the community. So like I mentioned, we have a cap of $1,000, but you know, just to pay a few $100s to an individual could mean the difference between being homeless. We've also helped people from being homeless because we've paid their security deposits, or one person was way behind in rent and was going to be evicted and there was no funding available. You know, so we did help out with that also. I think each situation is very unique, and even though it's small sometimes, like $100 or $200, I mean, that makes a huge difference in somebody's life, that they can remain in the community. Our purpose really is to keep people, seniors, help support them in the community as long as possible.
Sure. And I know for us at Faith in Action, I mean, we're working very hard to keep them in their homes so that, you know, they can stay where they're comfortable and stay independent too. So sometimes, you know, bad things happen and they need help. It's just the way it is. It's
very unfortunate, and seniors really don't ask for help until it's a crisis.
Right.
You know?
Well, they're
and
very
they're proud. They
They're
are very proud.
very proud.
And you know, and like I had mentioned, that most of these people have worked their whole lives and haven't had to ask for help. But as they age, they start to struggle with different things. And there was another woman that was caring for her developmentally delayed son, who was also an adult. He had an incontinence issue, and her dryer broke, and she didn't have the $250 to get it fixed. So she had like clothes hanging all over her house, which was a safety issue for her, being in her late 80s, a tripping hazard. And she had called the Office for Aging to see if there was any funding that would help her out with that, and they put the referral over to us, so we actually paid the repair bill.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
that
wonderful.
they could continue to live comfortably in their home.
You know, I hear more and more about a lot of seniors who are still taking care of adult children that have disabilities or, you know, or issues too. And that has to be really, really difficult as well.
Yeah, that's another struggle, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for everybody.
And so it's just wonderful. I think it's great. I think the whole idea is amazing. I wish I'd thought of it. And it's great. So how would someone get a hold of you? They need to call Office for Aging, you said?
Yep. We don't have an office because we put all our money back out into the individuals. So they would call the Office for Aging at 607-778-2411 and explain what their need is, and then the caseworkers would work with them to see if there's other funding available to help meet those needs, and if there isn't, then they put the referral over into the AGEON and we have a committee that reviews the referrals, and we refuse very few people. If it meets our guidelines, we usually fund them. And the turnaround time is 24 to 48 hours. And like I gave you the example of the gentleman, we were able to drop the check off the next day, so he didn't lose an apartment. We can act very quickly, and or you can visit our website.
Would you like to give that too?
Which is excuse me, www.ageonbroome.org. And there's, if you wanted to make a donation, you can donate on the website. There's more information, and you can get a hold of us by calling the Office for Aging.
Sure. Where did you come up with the name AGEON? Just curious.
One of our board members came up with it. She had conferred with a media person, and they had said, "Oh, you need a catchy name," and that's how,
It just came. Yeah.
It just came, and we kind of went with it. It's AGE capital ON.
Yeah.
AGEON Fund
I think
of
it's
Broome
catchy.
County.
AGEON. Sure.
This charity, I think, has been a long time coming. It's something that's been needed for a long time, and we appreciate the cooperation with all our community partners, especially the Office for Aging that does all our screenings and all our referrals. And I would give them a call for anything. Even if we don't fund it, they can usually help with other things also.
Yeah.
So.
But you don't get government funding?
No. We're strictly donations and our event. And people do go online and do, donate, which is helpful.
But I think that opens you up to be able to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of outside restrictions. And,
we don't
and
have
guidelines and things that you have to fill. So
we
that's
don't have
great.
the overhead, so
No.
and I think that's one thing that donors have told me in the past, that they like that all the money, they know if they send $1,000 in, it's going to go to somebody.
Sure.
We're going to
Right.
pump
So
that
you're-
$1,000 right back out to help the individuals.
Right. Very good. Very good.
So if you have a need, or you know somebody who has a need, a friend, a neighbor, give the Office for Aging a call, and we'll see what we can do for you.
That's good. That's good. Very good. So now we still have a few minutes here. I don't want to keep bugging you about stories, but can you give a few more examples, maybe, of just for people?
We recently purchased some, back to the whole car thing, because nobody pays for car repairs, and we all know how expensive that can be. A woman, an older woman who lived in a rural area, suddenly found herself, she was entrusted in the care of her young grandchildren for, some unknown reason of ours, but she needed new tires on her car, so she couldn't get herself to the doctor, because remember, the purpose has to be for the senior citizen, the older adult themselves. But she couldn't get around, she couldn't get to the doctor, so, for a few $100s, we were able to send a check to the car place and pay for the tires, and now she can get herself food. It really does help with independence with people, and she can get herself around, and some just basic things like that we have funded. I know that, we've bought somebody a stove. Somebody had moved from a trailer that was condemned because it really wasn't livable anymore, and she couldn't take anything with her, and she got into a new trailer, and it didn't have a stove. She was trying to cook with a hot plate, and she had saved her money to buy something else. So she did have some cash, but she was going to purchase, I don't know if it was a refrigerator. So she was these people are always trying to help themselves. They're not just looking for a handout. But she really wanted to remain independent, be able to cook her own meals. She was in her mid-60s, and we did buy her a stove and had it delivered and set up. Like the repair people, the delivery people, are like, oh, I'm like, it has to be set up.
That's right. That's right.
85-year-old cannot plug in a refrigerator and push it against the wall. I don't think I could.
I don't think I could either.
Got to be ready to go before you leave. So
That's great. But that's great. That's great. So you're seeing a good response from the community, I think.
yes, it's doable right now. We had 17 referrals last year.
Okay.
And we did donate close to $9,000. So
Wow.
we're really gearing up now.
Wow.
I mean,
That's great.
yeah.
That's amazing.
AGEON was started during the pandemic, so we're kind of just getting our running shoes on now.
But that's great, and I'm glad the community is supporting that, you know.
Yes.
I don't, like we talked before, I don't think people realize, you know, there's so much more out there that needs to be done. And you're right, they're very proud people. They don't want to ask for help.
I know, and I strongly feel as though we should support all our older adults, because I mentioned before, those are the people that built this community. They worked to have it be nice the way it is, and now they're struggling, and those of us who can should support them.
Sure, very good, very good. Well, let's give them your number and website again, because we want to make sure people know how to contact you and how to donate as well.
Yes. So you can make a referral or get a hold of us by calling the Office for Aging at 607-778-2411, or you can visit our website, which is www.ageonbroome.org. You can Google us and find us.
So just Google AGEON and you'll be there.
Google AGEON Broome.
AGEON Broome, that's
Yes,
true. That's
yes,
true.
yes, and then
AGEON
you'll get
kind
to
of sounds like I don't know. It makes me picture a lot of people like exercising and doing.
Well, it's supposed to be, I think the whole term was to be energized and to be
Sure.
an upbeat thing. And so our board of directors are all very upbeat, committed to serving seniors, even in their retirement. Some of them are
very
senior
good.
citizens
Good. Yeah.
themselves, and we really do try to support people in any way we can.
That's great. That's great. So this was Lisa Schuhle. She's retired from Office for Aging. So she took on another job, and she is the president of AGEON, the AGEON Fund of Broome County, which helps seniors in our community who run into little situations where they maybe don't have the finances to take care of what they need. And I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you. I'm glad that we
and
were.
explaining that to us. Thank you very much. And again, I will throw out the number and the website in case you are interested in either looking for help or donating money. The phone number is 607-778-2411, and their website is www.ageonbroome.org. So thank you very much, thank all of you for joining us today. We hope that you'll come again. I am Sue Spencer, the Director of Faith in Action Volunteers, reminding you that kindness is free, so sprinkle it everywhere. Have a wonderful day.